Hi everyone, very good evening. My name is Divya and I'm from Theascape, and we are going to talk about homeschooling with Chetna, and this is part of the Women Empower Women series that we've been running for quite some time now. And before we begin and bring Chetna online, I would like to wish everyone a very happy Navratri, and do go check out our website. For all the 9 days starting today, we have a 15% flat off on all our products if you buy from our website. So make sure you take this opportunity and grab all that you've been waiting for to try Theascape products. So also to give you a little background about Chetna. Chetna is the co-founder of the Birth Home. She's also a lactation counselor, and she also, hi, thank you for joining. So, hi, and she's also a birth childbirth educator. Yeah, I was just going through the comments that they are coming in. So just let's wait for her to join in. Hello Adhanika. Thank you so much for joining this chat. And what Chetna is going to share with us is how she has homeschooled her children and why she is an advocate of that and her experience. And I see Chetna is with us, so I'm just going to bring her online.
Hi.
Hi Chetna.
Hi, Chetna.
Hey. Hey, Divya. How are you doing?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Is it
echo?
Yeah, a bit. I'm not able to follow very clearly what you're saying.
Okay. Just give me
one moment.
Sure.
Chetna.
Chetna, hi.
Hi.
It's
Yes,
still echoing.
I think this is better.
It's better?
It's
Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
I wonder why.
I wonder why it's echoing.
Let me try.
Try.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you clearly, loud and clear.
Okay, great.
Okay, great.
It's still echoing
It's
though.
still echoing though.
I'm okay. I don't hear
All right.
anything.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, great.
So welcome,
So
Chetna.
welcome, Chetna.
Thank you.
And it's such a
And
pleasure
it's
to
such a
have you
pleasure
with
to have
us.
you with us.
Pleasure to be here.
And I've
And
always
I've
been very
always been very
fascinated.
fascinated.
You know how
You
you
know
brought
how
up
you
your
brought up your
children,
children,
homeschool them, and your
homeschool them, and your
choices at
choices
large
at large
have always
have always
fascinated me.
fascinated me.
and
and
I thought, why
I thought,
not
why not
chat with you
chat with you
and
and
understand
understand
Yeah.
more in depth
more in depth
about these
about these
choices?
choices?
I think those choices have fascinated me also as to how I ended up choosing all those things. But yeah.
Right, absolutely.
Right, absolutely.
So, Chetna,
So,
please share
Chetna,
your
please share your
journey
journey
about this wonderful
about this
homeschooling that
wonderful
you've been doing for
homeschooling that
quite
you've
some
been doing
time.
for quite some time.
How has the journey been
How
for
has the
you?
journey been for you?
the ups and downs,
the ups and downs,
and we are all yours.
and we are all yours.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if I can describe it as a wonderful journey. As you
Mhm.
rightly said, ups and downs. And I think it's more a way of living. Of course, a journey is an apt word, but it's not like we bring the school into the house. So homeschooling is not, just bringing the whole school as we know or as we have gone through ourselves, bringing that into our home, at least for our family. So me and my partner, we learned about homeschooling when we were in a conference, and we saw this little kid who was very content with herself, playing around. There were not too many children around, and she was mingling with adults and all that. It was very fascinating. It was something new because we hadn't seen or experienced that kind of a thing before. So when I asked her mom, so she said that, yeah, we homeschool. And I was like very curious. I mean, I'd heard about homeschooling, vaguely read about it somewhere in novels and things like that before that. But I mean, later in the evening after the conference got over, I went and I had like many, many questions. And that girl now, of course, she's much older. This was like 12 years back or so. But now it's, I mean, then she was about 4 years or something like that. So her mother just said, I asked, okay, what do you do when you say you're homeschooling? She just said, yeah, we just answer her questions, and she plays. And she was very vague, and I was like a little upset with her answer. Like, what do you mean by that? But then it I mean, I didn't think about it too much then. And when I got pregnant, it was again, a time to make so many choices and decisions and
Right.
all that. Right. Again, it didn't really occur to me about to think about homeschooling, but once my older one was born, and spent hours and hours in bed together with nursing and doing everything you do as a new mom, I had a lot of time on my hands, and that's when I borrowed a lot of homeschooling related books from the library. So I pinged this friend of mine again, and I asked her, okay, give me a list of books I can read. And she directed me to John Holt and Alfie Kohn. And Continuum Concept is another book. So I read all those books, and especially John Holt books were something that they're very easy to read. How children learn, how children fail, and he's got another book about homeschooling as well. So those were very, they were like a revelation for me in terms of how not only how you need not send your child to school like the mainstream school as we know it, but also how you adapt your entire family, you know, to make it a way of living, as
Yeah.
I've said.
Yeah.
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 So, of course, then, Karthik is also my partner. He was also on board pretty much with, this philosophy. And we decided, okay, let's give it a shot. It's not set in stone. It's not like we are going to crack a whip and say, no, you can't go to school. We entirely leave the choice to our children, to both my kids, to decide for themselves what they would like to do. Right. And
Right.
since there was, I mean, first of all, like my older one didn't know what a school was. So when we moved houses, and we, like right now, also the same house that we live in right now is across a school. So she was very fascinated because there were a whole bunch of children dressed in the same way. And before that, she wasn't really exposed to that whole concept. And then she decided to check it out. And it's a government school opposite our house. And she decided to go, and I enrolled her in. They took her. But I did tell the principal and her teacher that she'll come and go as she pleases. And, since the house is right there, she can come home for lunch. And she was all of like, 4 years old then. So it wasn't like she was an older kid or anything. So she went for a good part of a year, I would say. But she would, stay only when there were rhymes and some hands-on things. The moment the teacher took a chalk and started writing ABC on the board, she would come back running home. So it was, I mean, for me, it was difficult because I was like all, in my high horse saying, yes, we are homeschooling and talking about, all this stuff. But here I had to literally bite back my words and say, okay, it is your choice. So you do what you want to do. I think it was a nice experience for all of us, again, as a family. We got to see
Right.
what she could explore. She had that freedom because they were kind enough to oblige to our wishes. So,
Right.
yeah, I think there's some connection issue.
Yes. Yeah, it's
Yes.
better now.
Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah. So also, they gave us the freedom, as I was saying, to freedom to her as well.
To her.
To her.
And she also, the other motivation for her to go was that her friend was there in that class. So then the subsequent year, the friend moved to the next class. And the teacher was a very mainstream teacher with a cane in her hand, and pretty old
Okay.
teacher.
Okay.
And she was finding this whole thing ridiculous. Like, why are these people with so much privilege, all these social connections and privilege, and why are you sending your child to a government school? And then she expected Disha to follow what other kids were following,
Others
which was
were following.
reasonable.
Other following.
Yeah, in her eyes, it was a reasonable thing to do. But Disha was like, I'll go back to the previous class, because that teacher was a younger teacher who was more willing to, let her do her thing. But that teacher, she left the school that year. So
Okay.
she was back home, and we were, doing our thing like what we would usually do on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
Right.
Awesome.
So that is Disha's story. Tamia has been pretty much like not too concerned about school and other aspects as much as Disha was curious. Also because the school has shut down in front of our house for the past few years now. So
Yeah.
so hers has been a slightly different journey, and possibly I'll share some more as we talk. Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
So, what kind of like in a school you would have a syllabus,
syllabus,
right?
right?
Yes.
And
And
certain portions are covered, and it's very structured in the sense, okay, first you got to understand the numbers, then you got to understand the concepts behind it. How does it work in homeschooling?
homeschooling?
So there are different flavors of homeschooling, right? There's no one right way or one wrong way of doing it. While in mainstream schools, you have things broken down and bifurcated and boxed into
Yes.
subjects. Homeschooling, at least the way we practice it, is, let it all merge and intermingle and flow together, and there is no separation of things. Of course, we do discuss and we do name things like, oh, we are doing geography or history or whatever, English or whatever.
Yeah.
But really, it's like a playing field, if I can call it that, and we explore together as a family. So it is not, just simply having your child at home and letting them do whatever they want, though a lot of it is also that, but it's also being a partner with your child.
Right.
Giving them choices, like, which is a very difficult thing to do. We have to get over our own conditioning, our own, schooling that we have gone through. So there are a lot of terms that, homeschoolers like to throw around, like deschooling. So you need to deschool yourself so that you're able to look at the world through your child's eyes, or, follow their lead. So it is all, again, in line with, just like how you want to, birth vaginally, another thing which I like talking about, but
Yes.
you give birth in a manner which is with your physiology, and
Right.
then you go on to breastfeed and many of my friends who also homeschool have chosen to let the child decide when to wean, right? That is giving the child a very real choice, where it might not always be easy for the parent to do that, but
Yes.
it's a conversation that you're having, and it's a relationship
Right.
you have. So similarly, I see homeschooling as an extension of all that.
Right.
So,
Right.
and again, as I said, we have not restricted our children. Like last October, they did decide to join school because I got busy with my work and Karthik is busy with his work. So it has been very challenging for them to stay at home and find interesting things to
Right.
do. So they did join school, but then again, COVID happened and they're back
Yeah.
home. But they decided to join a very alternative school. And again, it was something that we explored together, and we decided as a family only if they were convinced that this is what they wanted to do, that they would.
Okay.
So,
That's really nice. I like the entire idea of the child leading the learning,
yes. So we
right?
don't follow any curriculum, though there are
No.
families who get curriculum, and maybe for older children who want to write their 10th or 12th exams, or attend any of the competitive entrance exams, then maybe they do get syllabus and books and everything at home,
Right.
and
Right.
the parents and the children, or they get private tutors to tutor, so those things also happen.
Right.
But in our journey, we haven't reached that point yet, and I don't know what my kids will actually choose to do going forward. So,
Right. Right.
yeah.
What were the real challenges you faced in homeschooling?
Well, I think the way our society has evolved to become like this whole nuclear family setup and living in isolation, which is been a very difficult challenge, especially when my older child was like between 1 to almost 3 years old, before moving into this particular house. And the reason why we've stuck on to this house for many years, it's a rented place we stay in, but we love this place because of the community that we have. A lot of kids. It's an
Right.
independent house, that old style Bangalore house.
Nice.
So it's we know our neighbors, we talk to them like how we grew up, right? Which I feel may not be something that is accessible to everyone in this kind of the social setting or the class that um, we live in.
Right.
So,
Right.
So, so that is something that was lacking initially, and yeah, the loneliness in terms of having to do it all by yourself many times, or just having to do it with your partner.
Yeah.
So that can really be challenging for me, especially me as a parent. For the child themselves, like sometimes it gets very frustrating and a lot of struggle. Like for example, with Disha, she's 10 years old. To just give a context, so she very recently learned how to read and write.
Okay.
And it was something that was worrying us to no end and frustrating her to no end, because she could sense our frustration and our worries
Okay. Okay.
as well.
Okay.
Like, and everybody around her also, like grandparents and aunts and uncles, and everyone were like, "Oh, you are already 10 and you're not reading." Like, they might not have told it to her on her face, but everyone was wondering why she's not doing it. When she was about 8 years, it kind of started. But she persisted, and it was, challenging many times to get through and work through all the frustrations and all those, feelings around not being able to master a skill. And I had to talk to so many people. Karthik spoke to so many people. We were trying to get perspectives from other homeschoolers. But yes, I mean, it just magically happened, I would say. Like if you were to talk to other homeschoolers, they would also share that it just happens. We just need to have this in enormous amount of patience for things to unravel. So skills like reading and writing, for example, it also narrows their freedom, their outlook of the world in many ways. But it's also, on the other hand, one could call it an essential skill, which is what worried us a little bit.
Right.
So yeah, so it's not again all smooth sailing, and sometimes it gets very challenging to keep the children occupied at times. It's like they're interested in something, and you are not really interested in doing what they're interested in doing. So that's when it becomes a slight tug of war. But then as a family, you sit and, like, it's like any other relationship, right? Like you work, you put a lot of work in it, and you
Right.
resolve it, and you reach some sort of a compromise. Yeah.
Right.
Right,
Wow.
right, right.
I
Wow.
mean, you
I
need so
mean,
much patience,
you
so
need
much
so much
strength
patience, so much
to
strength
really,
Yes,
to
and
really,
it's
mold
not like I've
mold
always had that amount of patience.
patience.
My Karthik is much, much more patient than me. So if going gets tough, I just, tell him, please take over. I can't do this. Can you do that?
Right,
So
right.
yeah, so it's a juggling act many times. Yeah.
Very interesting. I
very
mean, I've
interesting. I mean,
always
I've always
lot of fascination
lot of
towards
fascination
how
towards
did you do it? Because,
how did you do it?
even at
Because
your work,
even at your work,
it's so
it's so
demanding.
demanding,
Yeah, it
And
is.
and there's a lot of
there's a lot of
spirituality to it.
spirituality to it.
There's so much to it
There's so much
actually.
to it actually.
Yeah.
And with
And
that,
with
taking up
that, taking up
homeschooling, it
homeschooling, it
definitely,
definitely,
a lot of
a
work
lot
is
of
what
work
you've
is
put
what
in.
you've put in.
Yeah, no, initially, like before we opened the birth home, my focus was on the kids. Like I would, of
Right,
course, I wanted to also follow my passions. And I think it's very important for the children to see that you're doing something meaningful with your life. I think
hmm,
it's a big learning that they can take away, that you're still
right,
following what you're passionate about, you're still following your dreams. While on the other hand, my focus was pretty much on making sure that we are homeschooling and we are continuing to homeschool. But then it was for me also at that juncture, once we decided to open a birth center, that's when it became clearer to me that we may have to change a few things at home. And
right,
again, it was, like you said, a journey, right? So the kids
right,
also could see that I wanted to do something else, and my time was getting more and more occupied, and they weren't very happy
right,
about it. So we decided to explore schools, and we explored schools together, and we decided, yes, this is the place that they'll go. Yeah.
right.
Right,
Very
right.
nice.
Very nice.
So I also
So
thought
I
of
also thought of
taking your
taking your
understanding,
understanding on
certain aspects
certain
of
aspects of
homeschooling.
homeschooling.
Sure.
Uh, do you think
Do you think
homeschoolers do better
homeschoolers do
than
better than
their
their
public school
public
peers
school peers
on these standardized
So in
on
tests?
these standardized tests?
Yeah, yeah. I don't have stats of my brain which I can rattle off. But in general, like, my belief is that if the child has had a freedom, whether the child went to a mainstream school or whether the child stayed at home or did homeschooling or community schooling or whatever, um, it's I think we children and humans in general adapt very beautifully. And if given a challenge, or if presented with something that we are not able to we need to work towards, I think we all rise up to the occasion one way or the other.
Right,
And
Right.
I mean, there are a lot of articles and research and etc., which says that, schools are making children dumb. And, on the other hand, they also say smartphones are making children dumb. So, so really, I think it is a balancing act. Like, if a child went to a mainstream school and the parents didn't really pressure the child into saying you have to get like 99.9% marks, and, all those expectations on those shoulders are not, thrust upon by the society and also the parents or the teachers, then that child has the potential, even given the parameters of going to school, to do very well for whatever that
right,
means to that child. Like, be it cracking an entrance exam, or be it not even, or be it even deciding not to write any entrance exam. I mean, why don't we think that's an option as well? Right?
right,
I mean, we have all these structures and institutions in place which says that only if you have a piece of paper which says XYZ, you've done this, that it has any value. While it may be true that you need to get some sort of certification in some kind of very specific courses. I'm not saying they're all rubbish, but it really depends on what you want to do with your life and how you want to go about doing it.
Yeah.
Right. For example, like as a healthcare professional, I cannot say that I will not learn basic life support and I will not get certified in it. So CPR is something that I should know as a healthcare professional, right?
Right.
So I am at a point in my life where I am okay to take that certification, and that I know that it is going to be a big part of my journey as a health professional. So I'm fine with that certification.
That's right.
So similarly, if a child sees meaning in attending any of the entrance exams which are available to further their journey in life, I mean, why not? But just that, in India especially, we have such unequal access to education, and homeschooling really is very elitist in many ways, if you could call it that, right? Because I don't think the class, caste, privilege, all that matters when you say that you're homeschooling, right? Who are the parents who are able to afford right now in COVID situation gadgets for their children to do online schooling? So those are some difficult questions, and I mean, I'm not saying we should stop homeschooling just because other children cannot homeschool. I'm saying that we should also try to see what is happening in the systems and see how power structures can be dismantled.
Right. Interesting.
Interesting.
Also,
Also,
why do you think
why do you think
parents now want to
parents now
switch
want
to
to switch to
homeschooling?
homeschooling?
There are many
There are
parents.
many parents.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think, a decision which is partly based on that they're afraid to sort of expose their children to the whole COVID situation, right? We are in the midst of a pandemic and it is really unprecedented. We've never had to live in a time like this before growing up, right? So, so it's something that they've had to rethink, I think. I mean, for us, it was an easy switch. Yes, they went to school for 5-6 months and then the school shut down and then they were back home. And we just kind of continued to, of course, it was very restrictive because homeschoolers also don't stay at home. We travel a lot and we explore, we meet new people. All that was taken away from us. So it was also challenging to homeschool, but at least we were sort of comfortable in our skins, if you can call it that, right? That we could stay at home and we could do certain things together as a family. And, both Karthik and I were also at home for a big part of the lockdown. So all that kind of made it easier because we already had that sort of a routine set as a family.
Right.
But somebody who is considering homeschooling now, yeah, maybe they're considering it just as a temporary thing so that, they can tide over the pandemic, which may last, however long it takes to, resolve. But yeah, so that, and also you don't have a choice, right? Of course, online classes, a lot of kids are doing online classes now, which can be very taxing because I have seen
Very
the
taxing,
fatigue
yes.
that Disha attends online classes through her school, and their school operates on an elective basis because it's an alternative school. So there's no force and there's a lot of like one-on-one time, individual attention and all that. But just imagine, it's very challenging, I think, for teachers and for kids to, use a small smartphone to sit and look at a screen. And I know that my house helps children. They all now have a smartphone each. There are 4 of them. They all have a smartphone each, but then the teacher sends notes through WhatsApp and they have to, look at that tiny WhatsApp screen and write down the homework, take pictures and send it back to the teacher. And the teacher looks at her tiny WhatsApp screen and ticks off, 40 such papers, which I think is like, pretty ridiculous. Like we can just give children a break, at least the lower classes, if the government agrees. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion.
I totally reflect the same because I think for the smaller kid it's too taxing.
Yes.
And children, the span of attention.
Yeah.
Just
Exactly.
looking at one screen. The first 10,
The
15
first 10,
minutes would be
15 minutes
okay,
would
and
be
then they
okay,
try
and
to
then they try
fidget.
to fidget.
So it is
Yeah,
a little,
It is a little.
it is difficult.
it is difficult. um, I don't know till how
I don't know
long we
till how
have
long
to
we have to
bear this,
bear
but
this,
I personally have
but I
stopped
personally have stopped
giving any pressure to my
to my
daughter.
daughter.
You know,
You
if she
know,
feels
she
that, okay,
feels
I
that, okay, I
can't do the
can't
class
do the
today,
class today.
like, okay, take a
Like,
break.
okay, take a break.
Yeah.
There's no point.
There's no point.
Yeah, I
Great.
mean, really,
Great.
like grades and marks at the end of the day are just, numbers on a piece of paper. It is not really
Right.
a
Right.
reflection of your knowledge or your skills. And
Absolutely.
what are we doing with our kids? Do we want to equip them to face the world, the ever-changing world with all its different challenges, or do we want them to know what? I mean, it may be important to know a lot of things which are there in the books. I'm not saying there it isn't important, but marks are marks, and we know that amongst our peers that people who might have failed exams or who failed classes are doing very well in their lives, and everyone's like becoming
Yeah.
an entrepreneur and doing very interesting different things nowadays.
Right.
I think slowly India is changing, at least on this level, where we are seeing more and more people doing different kind of things. The younger people are trying different things, and the interesting thing about India is that we do have alternative colleges also. So colleges which don't really mandate you need your 10th standard certificate or your 12th standard certificate. And in Bangalore, we have Bhumi College of
Right.
Sustainability. We have the Shikshantar in in Rajasthan, and there's a barefoot college in UP, I think. I forget where exactly it is. So we have such alternative systems coming up where the focus is mainly skill-based learning, hands-on learning, and not really concentrating on or self-driven learning, where you make your own curriculum for 2 years.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that's for older people.
Right.
Older as in like maybe when teenagers or slightly in their 20s, who typically join these courses and carve out many things for themselves and come out with
Right.
skills.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
sorry, I just want to correct, Barefoot College is also in Rajasthan.
Okay.
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 I'd forgotten.
Okay.
Yeah. And they
Okay.
actually work with the community youth to train in a lot of sustainable living, alternative energy, a lot of those things. So very, very interesting work happening.
Interesting. Right.
Right.
Tulika says
Tulika
it's
says
really
it's really
distracting and
distracting and
continues running for
continues
net
running for net
connection.
connection.
Yes, we all are
Yes,
in the
we all
same
are
boat.
in the same boat.
Also,
Also,
Chetna, can you
Chetna,
share
can you
what are the
share
kind
what are
of
the kind
benefits
of
a
benefits
child
a child
would get if
would get if
homeschooled
homeschooled
vis-a-vis, the
vis-a-vis,
normal way
the
of
normal way
schooling?
of schooling?
So I think they need to make choices, and at least the way we homeschool and a lot of my friends, families that I know, the way we would, some people like to call it unschooling. So we don't, as I said, follow any curriculum. It's very child-led. So sometimes there are choices to make for both the parents as well as the children, and it can be a very difficult journey. So that really, again, I think and I think as humans, we are learning every single second of our, waking lives. We cannot not learn. So every day you're learning something new, whether you want it or not, right? It just happens. So
Right.
Right.
yeah, really. I'm sorry, what was the question again? I feel a little lost.
So, what are the
So, what are the
benefits?
benefits?
Suppose
Suppose
now, if
now,
somebody
if
wants to
somebody
switch
wants to
to
switch to
homeschooling,
homeschooling,
Yeah, it is, the benefits is that I feel the children at the end of the day are happier, and this is again speaking from my personal experience. For some other children it may be that they are happier going to school, right? So that's what we all hope at the end of the day, or at the end of the year, when we're just thinking through what has happened. Can we check off and tick off that the children are happy and content and satisfied? Right. So the benefits are that they may, really, like when you go attend a homeschooling conference or a homeschooling meet, it's very nice to sort of see the kids and the adults interact, like different age levels are all like together doing something, or just playing or hanging out, or working very seriously on a project. And who's to say that playing is not learning, right? You also are doing a lot of learning when you're playing. So like I would urge mainstream schools to sort of bring in more hands-on things, because I think we learn much better by doing things. So if rather than sitting for long hours, we're not meant to sit for long hours, though we all end up doing that, but we are more meant to move around and do things with our hands. So if that kind of concepts can be incorporated, I think all the kids can benefit equally, or however they would like to benefit from learning certain skills, or anything for that matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Also,
it's-
Chetna,
Yeah, please, you can ask.
No, I was just going to hop on to the part where I wanted you to share a little bit on how people can, prepare for the boards and these standardized tests that they have to give. Suppose somebody wants to go abroad, wants to study later and take up certain exams. How do you go about it?
Yeah. There now, especially if you want to go abroad, US, especially some of the Ivy League colleges have said a few years back, they said that, we don't really need a certificate or a standardized test result for you to join us. And they are actually, opening up, because US has had a longer, background or history with respect to homeschooling. Their homeschooling movement is a few decades old. So they're finally realizing that homeschooling children come with a different sort of an aptitude or an outlook towards life. So they're preferring their creativity, and they are welcoming them.
Very nice.
But also, like on an average, for an average homeschooling child or homeschooling family, you still have to go through the system. And you are in a community. So like, for example, in Bangalore, there are lots of homeschooling groups. And Bangalore, even before COVID, I'm talking about, we have had like hundreds of families, if not maybe in thousands also, right? I don't know
Right.
of the homeschooling families in Bangalore. So there's always been a community, and there's always been like exchanging of resources. I know that in North Bangalore there is a science lab which they let out to homeschoolers. Some of the schools are open to having homeschoolers join just in the 10th or the 12th, or sometimes they even allow you to enroll, where you don't have to attend classes, but you can come and write your exams.
Right.
And then we have the NIOS, which is the National Institute of Open Schooling, which allows you to write as a special candidate. So you can give your exams. You can choose what streams you want to write, exams for, and do that specific. Again, I haven't personally explored it because we haven't reached that point in our lives. We may. And really, for me, again, and for our family, it's again a matter of what our children choose to do. Do they want to actually write this exam or not? Their school which they go to, it's called as BEME, BEME. So
BEME.
there they have study groups for older children who want to write this exam.
Okay.
And some children don't choose to write it as well in their school. So it's not like everyone has to write exams in their school. So
so essentially there is no obstacle as such that you can't give an exam or you cannot give an entrance.
So under the Right to Education Act, it's a gray area, as is so many things in India. The Right to Education Act says that every child should be in school. And we've had, because we stay right opposite a government school, or used to stay right opposite a government school, there've been instances where the teachers come and take our information and go for something. But I mean, really, the government doesn't have the resources, or can't be really bothered to pull us up and say something. And even if they do, we can say that, my child knows XYZ and can read, write, etc., etc. I
Right.
think, again, our privilege is there to protect us, from any questions the government asks. So some parents were concerned about the Right to Education Act when it came about, but so far, some few families who live in, they've moved away from the cities and they're living on farms and all, they have been gotten pulled up by the local authorities. But in general, like in the city life, I think we're just lost in the whole sea of people. So nobody's really paying
Yeah.
attention.
Right. So Aparna has a question here, Chetna.
Yeah.
How involved the parent has to be in the process? Is it a full-time job?
Yeah, if you can call it a job. But yeah, you're as involved or as not involved, because there are times when my kids do things which I'm not interested at all in, and I can't force myself or pretend, because that is like lying to them and lying to myself, right? So it is sort of pointless, and they can catch you like this if you're pretending. um, there have been phases in my life where I have struggled, and even I don't think Karthik has struggled, but I have struggled with homeschooling because I found it overwhelming me. The constant attention, they're always around you. And, if I can call my older child, she was, she had certain needs where, she wanted me to be there with her at all times. So with younger children and with older children, I mean, the challenges really are different, as they grow up. So it was overwhelming for me many, many times. And to put in that much effort and my time, and when it becomes an effort, it becomes like a chore. When it becomes like a chore, it's clearly not working out, right? And then you need to take a break, step back, look at it, with maybe fresh perspective, talk to other homeschoolers. And which is why it's nice to have that community, even if it's just an online community.
Right.
It's just nice to talk to somebody who's gone through it and say, okay, what can be done? Like, I struggled a lot around food, and still do. I still struggle with food. Like, if I see my children, binging on chocolate after chocolate, it really bothers me a lot.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
something that they know also. So I haven't hidden it from them. But it's just like, we struggled a lot because I wanted to control things. And my child, being what she is, didn't like that whole control. So we went through that whole power struggle. And then finally I realized that, it's not working out for us and we have to change things. So yes, it is a lot of effort. So, to put it very crassly and crudely, you can say that you're not outsourcing childcare. You are doing
Right.
childcare by yourself.
You're
But
by yourself,
that's
yeah.
that's the main challenge. We do it in isolation in, these nuclear setups, or even in a joint family setup. If other people are not really agreeing to your philosophy, then it becomes a pretty much a
Yeah.
tug of war, no? Because you are
Right.
constantly trying to maintain a certain dynamic. Then it becomes exhausting. So, in those situations, if I was there, I would have probably just said, oh gosh, let my just I'll send my kid to a school. And really, no, not everybody in our family agrees to what we do. But they've just, given up on us, I should say, because we are so convinced
Yes.
with what we have been doing. I think they
Great.
have realized that, and beyond a point, they've also started seeing that, okay, it's working out for them. It may not work out for me or my child, but whatever they're doing seems to be working out for them, and they are doing it, like especially the grandparents. And we initially tried very hard to convince them to see our point of view. Then after a while we decided, and we realized that there's no point in trying to convince anyone or convert somebody from somebody who's so convinced that mainstream schooling is the way to go. You can't really try to change people's mind, but you try to just do your thing, and try to shield your child from as much of the constant fear that other people have. and then you see how things unravel and you engage. But we had to constantly engage with our parents at many levels, and sometimes, yes, it was exhausting. There were tears and etc., but we were so convinced to compromise on, so we just went along.
Wonderful, wonderful, Chetna.
Wonderful.
So my last
My
question
last
is,
question is,
would you recommend
would you
homeschooling?
recommend homeschooling?
I know the answer,
I
but
know the
still.
answer, but still.
Well, if it is right, if you feel it is right for you, yeah, why not do it? As Aparna's question was very apt. Right?
Yeah.
Like it is a lot of it is a lot of your investment emotionally and time wise, and also if it is something that you enjoy doing. And I think of course we all love our kids to bits, but sometimes parents also feel like they need to do something else, or they need a break from taking care of the child or children.
Yeah.
So which is fine. And it need not also be all or nothing. Like my kids decided to go to school, but then I'm not saying that they will have to go to school for so many years or whatever. So they may leave school and do homeschooling again, which is fine. I think we'll just see how it evolves. And I think we as a family definitely enjoyed it. I mean, you don't have to wait for holidays to travel. We used to travel a lot with both the kids. And when they were babies also, we traveled a lot. When they were older also, we could go, just spend a couple of weeks or a month on a friend's farm. And, that gave us so much of it as I recount all those things. And meeting very interesting people doing very alternative or non-mainstream things in their lives, that was like truly a learning experience for everyone, all of us as a family.
Wonderful. So Tulika has a question.
Tulika has
How
a
as
question.
working
Working
parents
parents,
It's
is it
possible as
possible?
long as whoever's taking care of your child in your absence, if you have to go away from them, or if you can, work on your laptop or do something along with them. So as I said, homeschooling is a way of life. So we don't tell our children don't enter the kitchen, because kitchen is a space where they are going to do a lot of their experiments. Or we don't say that you can't do this XYZ, any random thing. If they need help, or if we say, if it's like, they want to turn on the stove and all, we're going to be there. We're going to make sure it's safe for them. We're not going to say, yeah, go ahead, do it. Like my children, both of them used to handle knives at like 1 or 2 years of age. Like they would love to cut. And you can see a lot of homeschooling parents share those videos on Facebook, right, where the child is sitting and very patiently cutting through one lady's finger or something. So nothing is really off bounds. So can the person in your absence, whoever's taking care of your child, can that person provide that kind of environment, make sure it's safe for them, and also at the same time let them explore? So that's the question. And if you have an answer, Tulika, for that question, then yeah, why not?
Right. Great. So that's about it,
So that's
Chetna.
about it, Chetna.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Candidly, and
So candidly, and
you've given us
you've
an
given
entire
us an
overview.
entire overview.
The good, the bad.
The good, the bad.
I wouldn't say the bad,
I
but
would
this
say the bad,
kind
but
of
this
grooming
kind of
we need.
grooming we need.
The unlearning
The
process
unlearning
that we
process
have
that
to
we
go
have
through,
to go through,
because the society has molded us in a way,
because
right?
this is
So
so
it's still echoing. I'm
still
so
echoing. I'm
sorry.
so sorry.
It's just going a bit
Going a bit
slowly.
slowly.
So
So
I think
I think
it's going
it's
to
going to
really
really
enlighten and
enlighten
make people
and
aware
make people
of
aware
alternative
of
schooling as
alternative
well.
schooling as well.
Not many people
Not many
know the
people know the
nuances, and hence
nuances, and hence
don't even try
don't
to homeschool,
even try
right?
home.
So I think
So
for
I
us
think
to really
for us
understand
to
the kind
really
of support
understand the
system
kind
we
of
need to
support
build,
system we need to build,
this chat was quite
this chat
enlightening
was
that
quite
way.
enlightening that way.
I'm happy. Yeah, don't you think so?
Yes. Thank you
Yes.
so much, Chetna.
Thank you so much, Chetna.
Thank you.
And as
And as
just for us at
just for us
Tiascape,
at Kiascape,
do you have any
do you have
message
any
for us that you would like to
message for
share
us that you would like to share
for the women who are
for
at
the
the
women who
platform
are
too?
at the platform too?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, you guys are doing such wonderful jobs. I see that your products are so amazing. I want to buy every single sari that you put out there. But just holding back. Yeah, so really, I think all of us, if we can just follow our
Chetna, sorry, I lost you there. Can you hear
Can
me?
you hear me?
yes. I
Yeah,
hope you
please.
got what I was saying.
No, I lost you after you
You
said, I want
after
each
you
and every
said, I
sari.
want each and every sari.
Yeah, no, I was kind of wrapping up by saying that if we can all truly follow our minds and hearts and be true to ourselves, then we
Yes.
can make a small difference in the world, be it in whatever way that satisfies us and is meaningful for us also. Yeah,
Lovely.
Lovely,
Lovely.
lovely.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
you're
Thank you
most
so much
welcome.
Thank
for
you so much
spending
for
this
spending this
amazing one
amazing
hour.
1 hour.
Yes, it was a
And
pleasure. I had fun.
and I'm going to
And
catch
I'm going to
you
catch you
hopefully very
hopefully very
soon. It's
soon.
been a
It's
long
been a
time.
long time.
It has been a long time. Yes. Yes, do pop by the both home.
Yes.
Yes.
We need to do that
We
very
need to do
soon.
that very soon.
Thank you, Chetna.
Thank you,
Have a wonderful
Chetna. Have a
weekend.
wonderful
We'll be in touch
weekend.
with you.
We'll be in
Bye.
touch with you.
Bye.
Bye.
To your,
Bye.
what's her name? I forgot her name. Sorry.
Vanshika.
Vanshika.
Vanshika, bye. See you. Tell your
Say
mommy to
bye.
homeschool.
Say bye.
All
Homeschool.
right. Okay.
Homeschool.
Yes. Okay. Okay, Divya.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye.